Good morning. Welcome back. We're going to be talking about Chapter 8 this chapter, and Chapter 8 deals with exponents and powers of exponents and rules of exponents and all those things combined. Our first idea is talking about what do we do with anything when we have a power of 0. Well, a power of 0 provides an interesting opportunity to experiment a little bit and talk about some patterns. The rule for the power of 0 is any number raised to the 0 power is 1. And so as an example, 2 to the 0 is 1. We'll get to why this is the case in just a second. 4.5 to the 0 is 1. Matter of fact, all of these numbers to the 0 is 1. Now, why is this the case? Well, to look at why this is the case, let's kind of go off the line for a little bit and take some examples. I'm going to take some examples that we could all probably easily figure out. Let's start with the idea of 2 to the 4th power. If you wanted, you could write this down on the left-hand side of your paper here. Well, 2 to the 4th is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Well, that's 16. Let's keep our pattern going and let's look at 2 to the 3rd. Well, 2 to the 3rd is 8. Let's keep our pattern going. 2 squared. Well, 2 squared is 4. And our pattern continues. 2 to the 1st is 2. Well, our exponents are going down by 1 each. 4, 3, 2, and 1. So the next exponent naturally is 0. Well, on the right side our pattern goes 16 divided by 2 is 8, divided by 2 is 4, divided by 2 is 2, so divided by 2 is 1. And there's a little bit of theory behind why anything to the 0 equals 1. Now, if we continue this pattern over, and we continue it down, the next exponent down is negative 1, then negative 2, and so on and so forth. And so if we just look at our pattern, let's continue to divide by 2. That's 1/2, and half of a cup of flour, half of a cup is 1/4. Half of a fourth is 1/8. Well, let's try to write these as exponents. That's 2 to the 1st. 4 is 2 squared. 8 is 2 cubed. So what's the pattern? Well, the pattern is a negative exponent in the top becomes a positive exponent in the bottom. Nothing else changes, just the exponent and the position of the base. Now let's look back at our main notes. Here we have in the second row, we talk about the idea of a negative exponent. And this is a very good example of how I don't want to ever be writing our exponent fractions. We always want to write our exponents as horizontal fractions. And so that's how our general formula is going to look for this. So remember, don't write your exponents and your fractions with slants. So what does this mean? 2 to the negative 4th, that becomes 1 over 2 to the 4th. Negative 6 to the negative 2, nothing changes. The whole thing goes to the bottom, and we get a positive 2. When there's just an x, it's x to the 3rd. Now we would simplify this to negative 6 times negative 6 and be 1 over 36 is our answer. But for this case, we're just going to leave it, emphasizing the point the whole thing goes to the bottom. So let's look at our examples down here at the bottom. We're supposed to write each in simplest form. What does that mean? You have to have positive exponents. So, 5 to the negative 2. The 5 goes to the bottom, and we get a positive exponent. Since there's nothing left in the top, that's a 1. Well, anything less than 100, as a result, we're going to try to simplify. So what is 5 squared? That's 25. So my answer is 1 over 25. Our second problem, we have a negative 5 that goes to the bottom because it's in parentheses. So negative 5 squared, and negative 5 times negative 5 is, once again, that's 25 as our answer. Now we look at our third problem. For the first time, we don't have something raised to an exponent. So if it's not raised to an exponent, that stays in the top where it starts. So the 5 stays in the top. However, the x has an exponent of a negative number, and so that goes to the bottom. So our answer is 5 over x to the 4th. Let's look at our final 3 problems on this page. Of these 2, one of them has a negative exponent. So we knew that's going to go to the bottom. However, the c to the 0 actually provides an easy part of the problem. Remembering, anything to the 0 is 1, c to the 0 is 1, and so my answer will be 1 over a to the 4th. Let's look at e. They're both negative exponents, so they're both going to go to the bottom and become positive exponents. X to the 5th, y to the 9th. Since there's nothing left in the top, we have to put a 1 up there and not a 0. Our final problem on this page, let's look at which ones are negative exponents, and those go to the bottom. 2 to the 3rd and v to the 3rd are both negative exponents. The x squared is not negative, so that stays at the top. Before we finish and flip the page, we have to consider the fact that what is 2 cubed? Well, 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, so my answer is x squared over 8v cubed. In each of these cases, our goal is to have negative exponents be eliminated completely from the problem.